Welcome, brave souls, to another spine-tingling episode of Live, Laugh, Lore, where we dive deep into the shadows of the unknown. I'm Emily.
I'm Caroline, and I want
Welcome
to do
back.
an evil laugh.
Do it.
I
It's pretty good. That's pretty good.
have like a good Ursula one, like really hearty, deep. What am I gonna do?
Love that. Oh my God. I've been playing that Dreamlight Valley game,
Oh yeah,
which is a Disney game.
and we'll talk
Uh,
about video games again.
Here we go, right out the gate. No, but Ursula is like my BFF in that game,
No
and I
way,
love her voice so much.
Ursula.
Ursula! We're not talking about that again. But no, it's like comforting in a way. Like she's got like the old smoker's rasp that
Love
reminds me
it.
of like a she
Of
reminds me
me.
of the no. Um in like preschool, kindergarten, I had this principal who was friends with my mom. She was like a family friend slash principal, but she was a heavy smoker, like
Yeah.
chain smokes. Her name was Mrs. Dalton, and she had that exact voice, and it's just so
Mm-hmm.
comforting.
Aw.
Yeah,
Did I ever
anyways.
tell you that one of my it's sleeting. We're supposed to get 6 inches of snow.
I guess you're never gonna tell me.
Okay. Did I ever tell you that when one of my coworkers started, so he worked in the stores before he worked in corporate with me, and so we never met face to
Do you
face.
want to say where you work or no?
Yeah, I work for Le Creuset.
Very cool, very cool. I have a lot of Le
Uh,
Creuset stuff in my kitchen because of Caroline.
yeah. Anyway, yeah, he worked at one of the stores and he met me when he came to corporate and he said, Caroline, I thought you were a 40-year-old woman who chain smoked. And I was like
Uh,
26, 27 at the time, and I was like, I've
yeah.
never smoked a cigarette in my life, but I appreciate that.
Yeah. I don't mean this as an insult at all. I can see how if you
I
don't have a
know.
face to the voice, I could see how that
It's great that I have a
they could
podcast
piece
and
it
that's
together.
just what people hear. But I
But
am
honestly,
29 and I've never smoked a cigarette. I don't even smoke weed. I literally hate it.
and you're a singer, a musician. So like,
Yeah, that's
people
where the
want to hear your
rasp
voice.
comes from. But
Yeah.
yeah, anyway, yeah, so I'm just sitting here patiently waiting for the snow. I can't believe that I've been in Charleston for 5 years and never seen a major hurricane, but now I'm about to see snow in
That's wild.
Charleston?
In
That doesn't
Charleston,
seem
that's
right.
wild.
How did I? But I swear to God, I manifested this because I've been going on about seeing some snow.
You have. You have. I
I
have it
know.
on recording.
Do
I
you?
have evidence.
Yeah, I'm
Yeah.
like, I
We've
felt like
talked
I
about
was,
it before.
I really feel like I manifested this,
I think so. You
which
are
is a
very
good sign.
powerful.
I know, I really am.
You really are.
Although I'm kind of irritated because now my CrossFit is canceled for the week, but it's fine.
It's fine. You know what? You can't have it all. You have to sacrifice something.
I know. I'm not gonna say how much I lifted, but I lifted more than I've ever yesterday. It's not that much though. But
I
then
can't lift anything.
I went to re-rack and I missed and I fell over. Well, first I went, oh, and then I got stuck, and then and then the weights just fell off because they weren't clipped on. And I was like, oh, okay. And it was, oh, and then I knocked over some girl's water, and it was very embarrassing.
So did CrossFit get canceled or are you just too embarrassed to go back?
It got canceled.
It got canceled. Okay.
No, I'm just a beginner.
Yes. Yes.
I'm sure worse will happen, honestly, with the kind of crap they do, but
Well, if it makes you feel any better, if you're on YouTube right now, you can see maybe something
yes,
different behind me here. I have this beautiful hutch here that my grandparents gave to me,
it is so
and
beautiful.
it's gorgeous. It's fucking huge. It's massive. Me and one other person moved this into my apartment. It was mainly the other person. Not for lack of trying, but he saw me pick up one thing and looked at me like, "Are you fucking kidding me?" And
Yeah.
re-strategized. So like I was carrying like one glass panel at a time. I'm like, this is so heavy. Meanwhile, he's like lugging half the thing into his
Honestly, that
truck.
thing is massive. I don't know how you did it.
Honestly, so we made it not even halfway up the stairs that I have outside,
Mm,
and we were going to cut our losses because we could not get it
hmm
up there. If I was a stronger individual, we could have done it, but I was of no help. In fact, I was weighing us down, and
hmm
I'm certain of it. But anyways, a couple of my neighbors came out like just in the nick of time, and like they were on their way out to dinner, and one of the guys looks over and he's like, "Do you need some help?" And we didn't even like try to do the whole like, "Oh, well," we're like, "Yes, please, please help us." And there was like three of them. They all came over, and there was three men just carrying my hutch into my apartment, and I'm just standing there like, "Great, this is fantastic."
Great. I love when that happens.
Uh,
It almost never happens to me, but
Literally the universe was looking out for me that day. And so I left a bottle of champagne and a thank you note outside their door.
oh, that's so
So
nice of you.
because literally we were struggling.
Oh.
We had both just kind of given up when we were just staring at the hutch,
Mm-hmm.
like, oh no.
Yeah.
And I
Yeah.
have about 5 bruises to show
Mm-hmm.
for it because in my attempt to move things, I just kept like slamming my body into every corner that I
Mm-hmm.
could find. I tried to
Yeah.
jump up into his truck bed. Not only did I miss getting
Oh.
into the truck bed, I slammed my shin up into the tire well. A whole chunk of skin is just gone from my shin. It was like,
Mm-hmm.
okay, all right. That was the most embarrassing thing that's ever happened to me, but cool.
So if construction doesn't work out, moving definitely won't. Like being a mover.
No,
Yeah.
no. Physical labor is not great. And to be clear, I work in construction. I don't swing the
Oh
hammers. I
yeah.
don't
No
do any of
shit.
that. I was a project manager. That's the closest that I
Mm-hmm.
will get to physical labor. And that wasn't
Yep.
even physical labor.
Yep.
So, anyways, we were talking earlier about presents, and you could see my present to Caroline in the back
One
there.
of them. Stardew Valley cookbook.
Yeah. Oh,
Yours
that was
should
it.
be there on Thursday.
Yeah.
I drove around with it in my car for like 2 weeks,
Mm-hmm.
which
I
is
get
why it's
that.
so late. But yeah, I'm excited for you to get it. There's one part of it
Yay.
that's like kind of silly, but
Oh, no, I hate silly.
I know.
Hate it. If you ever make a recipe from the book,
Yeah,
let
I'll
me
let you
know.
know.
Yes.
Mhm.
They actually look pretty good. So,
Yeah, they do. I was looking at the ginger ale one and I was like, wow, this is actually so easy.
yeah, some of them, if anybody plays Stardew Valley, there's so many different types of food you can make in the game.
Mm-hmm.
And some of the recipes do not look like they'd be good. Like void mayonnaise, but
No.
there is a recipe in there for void mayonnaise, and it didn't actually look too
You
bad.
know what? I made mayonnaise the other day myself because I ran out and I was so irritated. And then I was like, wait a second. I can just make this.
Wow.
I was very proud of myself. I just made
Wow.
mayonnaise. It was so easy. I'll never buy mayonnaise
Yeah.
again.
Isn't it just like eggs and
It's eggs, and then I put a little Dijon mustard, oil,
Mhm.
salt,
Oh, okay, okay. Mm-hmm.
vinegar. But oh, and lemon juice. But
Mm-hmm.
yeah, that was it. But I want to make it more tangy. So I gotta put,
Mm.
because the Duke's mayonnaise is what I get. I'm very passionate about mayonnaise.
Honestly, I was never passionate about mayonnaise until I moved to the South. And then I was
Yeah,
enlightened
it's like a
about,
thing.
yes.
And like Duke's is special. It's
Mm-hmm.
so good.
It is.
But
They don't have it out
yeah.
here. At least not
Really?
that I've found. Yeah,
Oh
not
my
that I've
God.
seen.
I'm like really, yeah, I'm really picky about mayonnaise. Like I think I'll only buy Duke's. Never Miracle Whip. That's disgusting.
I remember having Miracle Whip in my fridge. I think it
They
was my
put sugar in
roommate's.
it.
No, I know. I hate Miracle Whip. I always have disliked it, but I never felt as strongly about it or I
Hmm.
didn't as I do now. Um, but I remember somebody coming over to my apartment when I first moved to North Carolina, and
Yeah.
they opened my fridge and saw that. And I have never seen someone look at me with so much disgust
Yeah, because
and
it's really
judgment.
gross.
They were like, "You need to throw this away. This is
Yep.
disgusting." I was like, "Oh my God."
Yep.
Okay.
I
But
like
they're
the
right.
tangy zip of Miracle
Miracle
Whip.
Whip. Yeah, no, but Miracle Whip is not good. Don't get that.
Yeah. Anyways, that's all I got. I really, if I don't wake up to 6 inches of snow tomorrow, I will riot.
Hmm.
That's all I'm gonna say. Because I'm
Well,
really excited to go sledding on the non-existent hills because Charleston is flat. I'm just gonna stomp around it.
well,
And I'm gonna play the Stardew Valley winter songs. I'm gonna walk through 'em.
yeah, I'm kind of jealous. It will not be, we have a freeze warning, but that
That's
is
crazy.
meaningless. That
Yeah.
just means that things will like get a little bit icy. like
Mm-hmm.
late tonight, and then it'll be melted by the time I wake up.
Yeah,
So whoop-de-doo.
we'll see.
Anyways, yeah, people are not supposed to live here in Phoenix.
I believe that.
This was not meant for human
Um,
inhabitants.
I do believe that. I think
Yeah,
people aren't supposed to live in a lot of places, probably.
I think so. I think some places were just not meant for us, and I think we need to accept that, you know? Some things
Yeah.
just aren't our business. The ocean, as an example, none
The
of my
ocean is my
business.
the ocean is my business.
But like the deep ocean, let them
I,
keep their secrets. I don't want any part of it.
I do.
Okay, well, that's where we disagree.
I want to know. I want to
Yeah,
be where the fishies are.
I do not. I do not. We made a choice to be on land, and now we have to suffer the
Mhm.
consequences.
We used to be
We
fish.
cannot go backwards.
Yeah. Well, our topic is not about the ocean. But anyway, I had a dream,
Oh.
and I told you about this dream, and it inspired today's topic.
Oh, that okay. Okay.
Remember my weird tunnel dream?
Yeah.
Well, it freaked me out so bad. It was a little bit demonic, and we're just
Do
gonna
you want to
scoot
explain
right.
this dream or no?
I
For
mean,
the
there was like a
masses?
lot of weird things I can't talk about in the dream because my subconscious went a little crazy that night. But part of the dream was that I was at my old childhood house and there was a tunnel under the house, and I was with some people trying to explore it. And it was like really creepy, like it was so dark. And so you had to get into this one part to find these like fossilized lungs. And then like it was like kind of like a fossilized heart almost also, but like not fossilized, it was shiny. And um
Like a
anyway,
crystallized heart.
kind of.
Okay. Okay.
Um and then anyway, so I'm like trying to go in, and then there's this woman walking out with a gurney, and I'm like, is it scary in there? And she just like looks at me, and I was like, okay, well, thanks for the help, lady. And
She has a
so
gurney. She's busy.
I don't know what she was doing in there. And so anyway, I ventured in with two other people, and there was like all of these. It was like walking into a vintage shop. Like it was just covered with all this stuff, and like
Like trinkets and
filing
stuff.
cabinets, like wooden filing cabinets. Yeah, trinkets. And then at one point there was a hand on my shoulder, and I turned and I was like, "Get your hand off my shoulder." And then the person I was with was like, "That's not me." And I grabbed the hand and realized that it was just like a booby trap, or it was like fake, and it was plugged into the wall on like a spring, and and I pulled it out of the wall. And
So you
then
were entering like a haunted house kind of thing.
yeah, I
Okay.
guess. But it felt scary. Um,
Well, most haunted houses are meant to be scary.
and yeah, and then it like there was like this big room, and it was like um just filled with these wooden filing cabinets, and kind of like a square like maze, like a corn maze would be. Um,
Oh.
I have very detailed dreams. I have a vivid imagination.
So how did the stream end?
I woke up.
Oh, well, okay.
That was the last thing I remember, was walking through the filing cabinets. I never found anything.
Oh, okay,
I
okay,
think I
okay.
got scared in my dream, and I was like, yeah, you need to get up now because I don't know
This
what you're
is
doing.
your subconscious was like, it's about to get bad. You
Yeah, I felt like
gotta
it
get up.
it it had bad vibes.
I've had dreams like that when I describe them, they're not inherently scary, but the entire dream is like filled with this sense
Yeah,
of dread.
that was how it was. Like it
Yeah.
was filled with dread, and
hmm
I didn't like it.
Yeah.
So anyway, I thought about it, and I was like, oh, these are kind of scary things, and I've always wondered. Also, this is like one of my bucket list things. So it is the catacombs of Paris.
Oh, that's
Yeah.
cool. Okay, I thought you were gonna
Um,
talk to me about like a haunted filing cabinet or something.
no,
It's like,
just like
what?
a haunted maze.
It's very
Um,
cool.
yeah, this makes me sound weird, but this was like on my bucket list when I was a teenager, was to touch a human skull.
Oh, huh. Okay.
Yeah, and I don't know why. I don't know why. I remember telling people and then clarifying, being like, I want to go to the catacomb. I don't want
So I'm like 99% certain it is catacombs.
catacombs.
I've never heard catacomb before.
I heard it on Hogwarts Legacy.
Okay, well, they have a accent.
Catacombs. I'm actually not sure why I'm saying catacombs because I've never said that in my life. It's like
I don't know
sometimes
either.
when you say caramel, all of a sudden you've only ever said
Yes,
caramel,
that
and
is
you're
true.
like, what's going on?
Where is that coming from? Yeah.
Um,
Okay, anyways, human
Catacombs,
skull.
catacombs. But yes, I've always just wanted, I don't know. I think it'd just be like, whoa,
You know,
surreal.
it's a very specific bucket list item and also
It's a
very
specific
doable
dream.
in the right situations. There are museums where you can do that.
I also want to
But
meet
you,
Obama,
okay, well,
but very different.
very different scenarios in which those two things would happen. But are you specifically wanting to touch a human skull in a catacomb? Like
Hmm.
this? Okay.
Hmm.
Are you?
Not in
Okay,
like,
you're gonna get into it. I thought you weren't allowed to go into the catacombs. Are you allowed to go in there?
I actually thought that too, but you are?
Oh. Oh, okay.
Yeah. Anyway, I'm going to
Anyway.
talk about the catacombs now. Okay. Today, we are journeying to the City of Lights, a city that is known for romance, demure, and beauty. Demure. Ha ha ha.
Never.
Apparently, that's what I've heard. Also, I've heard that Paris sucks.
Yeah.
I don't know. I think it's what you make it.
Yeah.
But beneath this fantastical city lies a world of darkness and death. Deep beneath the bustling cities of Paris into the labyrinth world of the catacombs. The shadowy tunnels are lined with bones of over 6 million people and hold mystery and eerie legends that have captivated explorers, historians, and thrill seekers alike. Thousands of visitors flock to the catacombs each year, but only are able to explore portions of this tunnel. But the catacombs are more than just a macabre tourist attraction. They are a window into the depths of human history and mortality.
Wow. Beautifully said.
So the name comes from the catacombs, which originated in Rome, I believe, was one of the first ones. But the
Like a
catacombs,
catacomb in general. Okay.
yep, that's where they got the idea. So the Paris catacombs were founded in the 18th century, and it was in response to two major problems. So many of Paris's famous and iconic buildings, like Notre Dame, oh, sorry. Oh my gosh, I should know this. I work for a French company. Les Invalides, the Louvre, they're all built from a type of limestone that they also called Paris stone. The limestone was mined from quarries on the outskirts of Paris since Roman times. But by the late 18th century, the city expanded so much that it was now built directly over the old mines, which led to unstable conditions. So underneath the city, it was essentially nothing keeping it
Yeah.
up. In 1774, a massive sinkhole engulfed houses, carts, and people, totaling in 84 deaths, and multiple sinkholes over the next few years caused widespread panic. King Louis XVI then created the Inspection Générale des Carrières. I'm going to butcher every French word. And thus raced against time to locate material to fill in these vacant mines under the city.
That
That's
is a
problem
new
one.
fear unlocked. A sinkhole.
Sinkholes are actually terrifying, and I worry
That's
about it a lot because obviously I live in a coastal town. Like a lot of stuff is
Mhm.
built on marshes, and I'm like, God did not intend this.
We were not supposed to be here.
You're not supposed to build on a marsh.
I did
I don't
it
know
out there.
anything about.
I built on a marsh.
Yeah,
I
well
built on I
then.
built on wetlands actually.
Oh my God.
I can tell you about the foundation systems though. I'm pretty confident that they're going to be just fine. We had foundations that went 40 feet deep, so
Okay.
it'll be all right.
Honestly, my apartment is probably built on a wetland, if I'm being honest.
Probably. The whole thing is a wetland.
It is.
Anyways, we're all going to die in a sinkhole.
So, Paris's earliest burial grounds were on the southern outskirts of the left bank city. But after the Western Roman Empire's 5th century end and the beginning of the Frankish invasions, Parisians abandoned the left bank settlement and then they moved to the marshy right bank. There, the settlement was on higher ground around a church and burial ground, which is behind the present Hotel de Ville today. Urban expansion on the right bank began, and landowners began filling in the marshlands. So instead of burying its dead in uninhabited areas, the Paris right bank settlement began with cemeteries near its center. Cool. So essentially, they just had like this circle of villages, and then in the middle, they were like, here's all the dead bodies.
Nice. Cute.
Mhm. In 1130, a burial ground around the 5th century Notre Dame des Bois church became its own parish associated with the Church of the Saint Innocents. This burial ground became the city's principal cemetery, and by the end of the century, Saint Innocent was overflowing and now neighboring the Parisian markets. So the living and the dead were now competing for space in Paris, and a historian named Rosemary Wakeman wrote, human decomposition mixed with the blood and guts of the markets with piles of rubbish to form a putrid stench, a dangerous effluence that made an axis of infection and disease. So
Mm.
literally the bodies were just stacked, and then there was a wall, and then there's a market, and they just left it. So to make room for more burials, they added these they're called charnelets, but it's kind of like a wall, but fancier. Like it opens into like a tiny room.
Like a mausoleum?
Kind of. Yeah, maybe. It's like shaped like that for sure. Like a mausoleum, I guess. Um, the only thing I can like think of is, have you ever seen The Sound of Music?
Yeah.
So you know when they are hiding at the end in the graveyard and they go into this room and it has like an iron bar?
I don't remember what that looked like.
Actually, I'm just going to send this picture to you.
This reminds me of I did a ghost tour in New Orleans, and they were talking
Hmm.
about they had like a very similar issue with their cemeteries being
I
just
don't know.
overpopulated. And then they had a hurricane. This was like in the 1800s or
Hmm.
something. They had a hurricane that came through and flooded the cemeteries, and there were literally like bodies floating up,
Oh yeah.
like unearthed them. And so they started doing these above ground mausoleum like
Hmm.
structures.
Yeah,
Um,
it's kind of
in
like
response
that,
to
I
that.
would say. I just sent it in the chat.
Let me see. Let me see. Oh,
Like it's like almost a gallery, kind
yeah,
of.
yeah, yeah.
And I'll put this on Instagram. I
Very
don't,
interesting.
yeah, I almost like don't know how.
It looks like a row of prison cells or something.
Yeah, or like something you would see like in a market, like a
Yeah.
market lined up. It is interesting, but they started to add the bodies to these.
Mhm.
Essentially, the bones were packed into the roofs and walls of these galleries, just completely packed through. And this continued for centuries. And by the end of the 18th century, the burial ground was 2 meters high. It was a mound of earth filled with dead Parisians.
So there was
It's
no like casket or anything. They just
They
threw them.
literally dumped, they dumped the bodies. And I read something about, they didn't know a lot about diseases at that point, but they
Mhm.
knew that maybe not breathing, but like speaking near it or something, they knew that they
Mhm.
could catch disease like that. So
Okay.
they were aware that this was bad, but
Well, and the
there were so many
stench
bodies.
had to be,
The smell had to be so bad. There were 2 million people buried there.
ugh, yeah.
Yeah. So in 1765, a law was finally passed that prohibited cemeteries inside cities. And if you're ever asking yourself, why do we need government to decide what we do? This is why. Because if not, we just keep throwing bodies in the middle of the city.
Uh,
Laws are good. I'm tired of people saying government shouldn't be involved. They should. So in the spring of 1780, residents of the Rue de la Lingerie in the western city of Holy Innocents, they started complaining of respiratory issues, vomiting, and delirium. Inspectors came to investigate and they found that the gases from the decomposing body had burst through the cellar walls and risen to the ground floor of at least 3 homes. Gross.
oh my. The sinkhole has now dropped down to number two.
Yeah.
That is number one.
Dead bodies in the basement. Let the bodies
Oh
hit
my
the
God.
floor. The cemetery was closed to the public, and Paris faced a new problem. What the hell do we do with all these bodies?
Yeah.
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 So they have the problem with the sinkholes, they have the problem with the bodies. So mine consolidations were already occurring around the site of the 1770 sinkhole collapse, and now a series of stone and masonry inspection passageways were built that reinforced the cities of Paris. So they had all these tunnels underneath, but it wasn't filled with anything. Faced with two major problems, a city that was literally sinking into itself and the remains of millions of Parisians, a chief inspector created the idea of moving the dead Parisians to the subterranean passageways. In 1785, workers began exhuming bodies from the Holy Innocents at night and carting them to their new resting place, the city's catacombs.
Imagine that being your job.
Yes, they
Like,
literally, so it took 2 years to move everything, and they would go in the night and wheelbarrow the bodies back
mm.
and forth.
And I would assume OSHA was not a thing.
No,
Well, that's an American thing, so I guess that makes sense.
but
Was it
no,
American?
no regulations.
Yeah, no regulations.
Yeah, this is
So
just your
just you and
job.
a wheelbarrow.
This offered a local and more sanitary storage solution, like a
All
like
right.
a a U-Haul. What am I
Storage
thinking
unit?
of? Storage unit, thank you,
Yeah.
for their bodies.
Cool.
First month free.
People have tried to store bodies in storage units. It does not end well for them. So
I'm sure it doesn't.
I would not recommend it, but you gotta do what you gotta do.
Uh, yes. On April 7th, 1786, the catacombs were officially named the Paris Municipal Ossuary. In 1789, there was a temporary halt to the plans to continue the building of the catacombs due to the French Revolution, but as bodies continued to pile up during the Reign of Terror, the city's dead began being directly buried into the catacombs. The ossuary had now gained a reputation as the Empire of the Dead. So now we just have more bodies to add to it.
Yeah. So Paris is literally built on the backs of its people.
Yep,
Very poetic.
it is. So the bones were essentially just dumped into the catacombs. There was no headstones or markers for the individuals. Regardless of money, wealth, status, bodies were just laid to rest side by side, which is also fairly poetic. It's like,
Hmm.
doesn't matter who you were, that's where you went. Especially
We're
during
all
a
going in the
time,
ground.
yeah, especially during a time where there was extreme wealth for the people that were running the country, especially the monarchs. Yeah, they just were like, doesn't matter. You can't take it with you. So,
Hmm.
an author, Dr. Erin Marie, she wrote Making Space for the Dead, Catacombs, Cemeteries, and Reimagining of Paris. She stated that the catacombs are a space of equality. You have the bones of nobles next to a pauper, and you can't tell the difference. Equality in death had long been a Christian message, but in the wake of the French Revolution, it also has resonant political undertones. So, how are the catacombs laid out? In 1810, the caverns were transformed into a visitable mausoleum. The stacking of bones were shaped into archways, tunnels, and walls. Patterns were created with the bones, stacking skulls, femurs, and tibias into an organized display and adding different decorations to complement the wall of bones. So they took things from cemeteries like headstones that were in shape of crosses. Essentially, they worked really hard to make this, I don't know if this is the right word, but beautiful. Which is why I
Hmm.
think I've always been really intrigued by the catacombs because I really do think it's very beautiful. Like with all the
Yeah.
bones and everything. I think that's just it's very macabre, but it's right up my alley of the type of
Yes.
things that I like.
It's artwork almost, the whole
It
thing, which is
literally
really
is
cool.
artwork.
I would rather be a part of an art, something beautiful like that than be alone in
Hmm.
a box underground.
Yeah. Rooms were created that displayed the various minerals that were found under Paris, and another that showed various skeletal deformities found during the catacombs creation. Monumental tables and archways were added, which wrote of the ominous warning. So I can't remember exactly what it says when you walk in, but there is a warning when you walk into the catacombs. In 1809, Napoleon Bonaparte ordered for the catacombs to be open to the public. It was seen as a place to mourn the violence of the revolution. It was also seen as a thrill and source of entertainment for a lot of people. Only 1.5 kilometers of the 300 kilometers of the tunnels that form the Paris catacombs are filled with bones. The other parts of the tunnels serve as space for things like mushroom farming, beer storage, and even was used as a bomb range shelter and meeting place for the French resistance during World War II. In 1955, it became illegal to enter the catacombs without permission, though some did explore the darkness and the world hidden beneath Paris.
Isn't there a horror movie based on
Yes,
the
so
catacombs?
below or as above, so below.
Oh, yeah, 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 yeah.
And it
I've never seen it.
represents, it's kind of like the nine levels of hell or something, and the catacombs is part of that.
Ooh.
Hmm.
Like the Dante's
Yeah,
Inferno thing.
I think it's something like that. It
Ooh,
looked really
that's
scary
cool.
though. With over 6 million bodies inhabiting the catacombs, an eerie, unsettling, and foreboding sensation can be felt by many who visit. There's still not a lot known about what lies deep in the catacombs, but there are many who have tried to find out. Now, there are some that argue, majority argue, that it's not really haunted. It's just kind of unsettling
Eerie.
if you go in. Yeah, it's just eerie because obviously you're surrounded by bones and you're deep underground.
Yeah.
But there are a couple people who do claim that it is haunted, so I thought I'd go over those. So it's said that after midnight, something terrifying happens. According to legend, the walls begin to speak, and the voices will try to persuade you to venture deeper into the catacombs where you can't find your way out. Many
Ah!
have reported seeing apparitions in the narrow corridors. One man named Jeff Bellinger, who was once a skeptic, he was walking alone in the catacombs of Paris where he had his very first ghost sighting. I saw what looked like a man step out from one side and go to the other and back, and I just froze and went, okay, if that's not a ghost, I don't have another word for what it is I just saw. Despite having many encounters since then, he claims that there were none more visceral than that day in the catacombs.
Wow. Of all the places in the world to be haunted,
Right.
I would not be shocked if this was one of them.
I don't think it would, like, I would be on alert if I was walking
Yes,
through,
yes.
you know?
And I think I've said this before, but I feel like places can hold on to energy, which is going to sound
Hmm.
really hippy-dippy of me. I feel like things where like traumatic stuff has happened, or
Yeah.
like places where there's been a lot of souls in one place, I feel like locations can hold on to
Right.
energy that can be felt and or seen later
Yeah,
on. But
for
it's not
sure.
an actual like sentient being that's walking around. You're
Hmm.
just seeing a moment in time, like a blip
Yeah,
in time.
sometimes the sentient being, I think, can be very Hollywood,
Yeah.
you know, like a demon coming at you, but I think
Uh,
sometimes you can just feel it,
yeah.
you know?
And your brain does come up with visuals to make sense of
Hmm.
like what you're feeling. So,
Exactly.
I mean,
Exactly. I mean, we don't
yeah.
even see the same, like, not everyone sees colors exactly the same, you
I think
know?
about that all the time.
That's
All the
crazy.
time. Like my version of green could be different for you. And I think about that. That has
Hmm.
fucked me up since I was a kid. I remember being in a playground and thinking to myself, what if blue isn't blue?
Yeah. I mean, I think it's slightly different, but I think mine is the best.
And I'll
I
never
think
know.
I like will point out colors to people and I'm like, this is terracotta. And they're like, no, it's just red. I'm like, no, but it's terracotta.
Okay. First off, are you talking to men or are you talking to women?
Both.
Oh, okay.
And it does
I was gonna
irritate
say.
me.
I'm convinced that there's some men that just, I think it's like willingly, they refuse to understand hues and
So
shades.
I've read about that. So men's brains obviously are formed differently than women's. I
Hmm.
can't remember what part of the brain it is, but it's like when you're looking in the mirror, you see every detail. Women see every detail. Men just see eyes, nose, lips. That's all their brain can process because their brain
What?
just it doesn't see detail like that in the same way that women's does. It's chemical. I'm not saying men can't see detail, but it just doesn't
Right.
process in the same way that women's does.
It's not like an automatic
Mm-mm.
thing.
Mm-mm.
That's so interesting.
Yeah. So it's
Huh.
probably the same with color. Like I just don't think that their brains are wired to do
Yeah.
all of that.
Like one of my favorite first date questions to ask is, what's your favorite color and three reasons
Hmm.
why? And they'll almost always say blue, which I'm like,
Oh,
so
really?
basic.
I feel like I
Almost
always get green
always.
from guys.
Um, my favorite color is green. But like if I ask a woman that, they're gonna tell me specifically which shade of that color is their favorite
Well, it's
every
probably
time without
because
fail.
like women can apply more emotion to things,
Yes.
you
Well, not
know?
even that. Before I even get to the three reasons why, I'm like, okay, what shade of blue? Do you like dark blue, light blue? And
Yeah.
they're like, I don't know, I just like blue. Like, okay, well.
I just got notification that it is snowing.
Oh my.
But yeah, I find with like men, they'll be like, my favorite color is green. And I'm like, okay, but what color? Like, and they won't know. And I have to like offer up the options and be like,
Yes.
is it forest green, hunter green, army green, lime green? They're
Which I'm
all,
not gonna lie to you, I don't know what the difference between forest and hunter green is. That's the same color to me.
I can only describe it in feelings. And I don't think that's going to
Yeah.
help.
No, I understand. But
Yeah,
it's
we've
like,
gone way off topic. I literally don't know what
I
we're
know,
talking about,
sorry.
actually.
Uh
No, it's actually fine. But now I'm like thinking about it. I'm like,
yeah. But these are
ghosts?
things, men who are listening, these are things you should know about yourself. Take some time. Think
Yeah,
about it.
we
We love to
like
know this stuff
information.
too. Like, if you
Tell
can
me all your facts, baby.
tell me all of your feelings and your favorite things, I want to hear about it.
I know.
Yeah.
So there is one record of someone dying in the catacombs. His name was Philibert Asperet. He was a doorkeeper at a military hospital during the French Revolution. He mysteriously went missing in 1793. His disappearance was not solved for many years. It wasn't until 1804 when his body was found in the labyrinth of the catacombs. It's thought that he went downstairs to the catacombs one day and lost light and could not find his way out. He died slowly and alone in complete and utter darkness. It turns out he was only a few feet away from the staircase.
Oh.
Yeah.
So is
It
that where the
was,
stories originated that they like lure you and try to make you like get lost?
oh, you're talking about the voices?
Yeah. Yeah, yeah,
Oh,
yeah.
so he actually was searching for alcohol because they used it as a cellar. So it was
Right,
said
but
that
I'm
he
saying, is that where the ghost story started? Like the speculation of how
maybe,
he got
maybe,
lost was from the
yeah,
voices.
maybe it was something like that.
He was just trying to find
Uh,
some booze.
yeah,
Poor
yeah.
guy.
Wanted the drink.
What a noble quest.
So one of the most famous and terrifying stories was when a camera was found in one of the deepest areas of the catacombs. When the contents of the camera were played back, it revealed a terrifying video of a man running for his life.
Oh God.
Allegedly, in the early 90s, a man explored the catacombs on his own. He never resurfaced, as far as people are concerned. But as I said earlier, his camcorder and cassette were found. In the video initially, it is mostly point of view shots, nothing's really going on, and then the explorer begins to walk faster and faster, then running, and his breathing is intensified. The video becomes disorienting as he runs from tunnel to tunnel, and you can feel his panic and confusion as he seems to not know which way to run next. Finally, the camera drops to the ground, and you see the man's feet running away from the camera. The camera was his only source of light during the exploration, so the video continues to roll until the tape finally runs out. It was found in one of the deepest, most unexplored area of the catacombs. The man was never identified, and neither were his remains, and not one person has come forward to claim that they were the one in the video.
This is going to sound insensitive and I don't mean it to be, but
Mhm.
could this have been like a publicity stunt?
That's what people think.
Okay.
But the video itself is pretty creepy.
I'm sure it
Um,
is.
but people do think that it was just, you know,
Yeah.
someone being funny. Also, I think I read a theory that it's so cold in the catacombs.
Mm,
And they think that they may have gone like a little crazy from the
like
cold.
hypothermia,
Hmm.
maybe. Yeah.
But they were never found, so don't know. So a lot of people claim that actually it's not haunted at all and it's actually a pretty cool place. There are people who are pretty obsessed with it. They're called cataphiles. And there's actually an underground secret society that's down there.
Oh.
So while Paris does
Right.
offer official tours of the catacombs, the tours don't even begin to explore the true depths of the underground city. It is illegal to venture through any of the unofficial points, but that has not stopped many from risking their lives to explore the hidden underground world. So essentially, from what I understand, is that they just like go down manholes.
Mm,
And then I've seen TikTok videos where they just go down and
yeah.
it may seem shocking, but Parisians are pretty used to it, and seeing people go in and out of the illegal entrances is pretty normal. I
Hmm.
see it a lot. And
So
then,
it is legal to be in there if you're on a tour.
yes, only in that 1.5 kilometer area,
Right.
but past that, where it's like just the tunnels, because it's not filled with
Hmm.
bones or anything, yeah, you're
What are
not
they
supposed to go in
hiding?
there. We'll find out.
Oh.
So not really anything, but I think it's just dangerous.
Yeah.
So in the 1980s is when exploration really began, and cataphiles started visiting regularly, beginning with stolen plans for the underground tunnels and passageways. So they found some plans and they were like, let's go.
Mhm.
There is where an underground secret society began. The group of people who began exploring started out as a clan of rebellious teenagers, but it eventually grew into something more sophisticated. The organization is composed of various subgroups with each have a specific focus. These include an all-female infiltration team called the Mouse House, a unit that is responsible for delivering internal messages and managing a coded radio network. A group
I
that
love that.
maintains, isn't that crazy? It's like a whole thing.
That's really cool.
A group that maintains a database for the organization's activities, and a team dedicated to organizing staged performances and reading, as well as a photography focused unit and a restoration team. So they have this whole thing going on.
Love that.
Yeah. In 2004, the police discovered the group, mind you, not for the first time, but they not only discovered the group, but they also discovered an underground movie theater that was run by the group, containing a movie screen, a bar, and a kitchen. These people are serious about
Oh my
going
God.
in.
Okay, you know what, ladies of America,
Tunnels.
let's move below
Tunnels.
ground. It's time.
I've heard that there are tunnels in Charleston. That actually popped up on my TikTok right after
Yeah.
that creepy dream, and I was like,
Yeah. That's
hello?
terrifying. Hello? It's a sign. The universe is telling us it's time to move below the Earth's surface. Honestly, I can't be in the sun anyways.
Okay.
So,
Oh, the tunnels. Yes. Okay.
yeah, like I don't need sunlight to
Yeah, I would get
survive.
depressed. There's nowhere for me to frolic.
You have all of the tunnel to frolic in.
I need the sun.
Mm. Stick your head out of the manhole for a little bit and then come back inside.
Okay, there we go. So it also in the tunnel walls, there's just tons of graffiti. They have decorated it with art, their own art. There
I love
also is
that.
telephones and electricity and a plethora of movies to choose from. So the police eventually did return for a more formal investigation, but when they got there, everything was gone. Recently, a video on TikTok did surface where someone claimed that there are snatchers roaming the catacombs and that they'll run up to you, take your light, and then run away. I think there was also a couple of rumors about there being cannibals down there, but essentially everyone's like, no, it's actually a pretty cool place. It's like mostly stoners who go down. And when I was in high school, I knew a lot of people in my high school like that went down in the tunnels in Raleigh, and they were all just like stoners. They were like just chilling all the time.
Yeah.
They weren't like ever doing anything wrong. I mean, they were smoking, but it was nothing really that nefarious.
Yeah. The mole
Tunnel people
people.
are normal. Yeah.
Yeah, they're great. The Teenage Mutant Ninja
Um,
Turtles, great. Heroes
yeah.
even.
Yeah. So people will go down. I read stories where they're visiting Paris and they meet a cataphile and they take them down to the catacombs for like 2 days and they just spend a couple days down there and then come back up. It's actually really insane how common it is to explore the extended tunnels of the catacombs.
I mean, it sounds like we need to
Sounds kind of fun.
get like a declassified tour guide.
Yeah. That's what they have. I mean, I don't, apparently it's not very difficult to find.
I don't know.
Mhm.
Also, would be the perfect scenario in which to be murdered, but
Exactly why I would be high on alert. Yes, I
right.
don't think I would actually ever do that. I think I would go in
No.
the guided area, but I don't want to
Yeah,
go.
I'll go on the sanctioned tour, but yeah,
It's not something I would do.
no,
Do you know
probably
how
not.
much panic I have when I'm just doing something relatively normal?
Yeah.
Yeah, that is the story of the catacombs.
That's very interesting.
Thank you.
Love it. There are catacombs in the US as well.
Oh,
There's one in Boston. We were gonna go see it, I think, but we weren't able to go.
another reason why I love Boston.
hmm Boston also has a museum with a book made of human skin. So, I mean, there's some weird places out there, people. Also, at the beginning of your story, it reminded me of, have you heard of Cheeseman Park
Mm-mm.
in Denver? Denver is haunted, which I would not have
Denver's weird
expected.
vibes.
Denver has some weird vibes. There's a lot of shit that has gone down
Ooh.
in Denver, but
I
essentially
never
there's a
loved Denver.
park there. It's like a really big park, like well known. It's beautiful,
Mm.
but it was built on a ton of dead bodies because I don't know if he was like a political figure
Mm.
or what, but there's a guy who was like really involved in real estate at the time, very rich guy. And there was a cemetery at the time, no park. And they told families like you have 90 days to
Mm.
get your loved ones and move them to a different cemetery. After that, we're turning it into a park. And there were a bunch of people that couldn't afford to move
Mm.
their family members.
Right.
And so they're still there. And so people say that it is a haunted place. And the movie Changelings, which I've never seen,
Mm.
uh, but that movie is based on that story.
I want to say Central Park is also buried on a graveyard.
I would not be shocked. Central
I'm
Park is
pretty sure it
huge.
is. Yeah.
Yeah, I would not be shocked by that at all. That's probably
Mm.
honestly, a pretty common thing in a lot of big cities.
Oh, I'm sure. I
Yeah.
mean, Charles, yeah.
Charleston literally built on bodies as well. Yeah. Well, that was very interesting.
Thank you.
Personal question.
Uh-huh.
When you die, would you rather be cremated or buried?
Um, I actually do think that I want to be cremated and put in the sea.
I could see that.
If not, bury me in a pine box. Do not embalm me. Do not put any of that crap in me. I don't want a viewing.
Mm-mm.
I hate that. I need to be turned back into carbon and put into the earth. I do not want to be put in those big boxes and then just, I'm like, what's the point of me existing
What
if
is
I'm
the
not
point?
turning back into carbon? So, what about you?
I would also like to be cremated,
Yeah.
but I have no idea if I would want to stay in an urn or if I would want to
Yeah.
be sprinkled somewhere. I'm leaning more towards the being like scattered somewhere,
Hmm.
but I have no idea where. How
Yeah.
about
I just like don't like the idea of not being back into the earth. And
you? Yeah.
like your body literally will just be a part of the ecosystem and the environment
Yes.
forever.
As God intended.
It's so cool.
Yes. Plus caskets just freak me out. I don't know. I don't like them. And they're so expensive. So expensive. It's like why?
Yeah, I know they're like $30,000, aren't they?
Yes. And like,
Yeah.
the embalming,
Yeah,
that's all
I don't
very
want any of
expensive.
that.
Yes. I think it'd be kind of cool because I've lived in so many places over the course of my
Hmm.
life, have like a little bit of me sprinkled everywhere that I've lived.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, that would be sweet.
That'd be kind of cool. Because I am a very
Um,
restless spirit. I live somewhere for like a couple years and then I'm like, I need to leave.
mhm.
I must flee.
I I know, I feel like I do that too, but
Yes.
not as many places as you actually. Yeah, I think I would want to be like at the North Carolina Ocean, Atlantic Beach.
hmm Yeah, I really like the idea of not being confined,
Mm.
even in death.
No, this doesn't
Don't put me in a
sound.
box.
I don't like that. Yeah, right.
Yeah.
And then
Also,
the
um,
sketch.
did you know that this is probably going to sound really stupid to everybody listening, but did you know it's illegal to be buried without a casket? To just be like buried in a hole?
Why do they want to stop my dreams?
I don't know if that's the case everywhere in the world, but I think in most places in the States, if not all everywhere in the States, you
They are
cannot just
just.
bury someone. I'm sure there's good reasons for it.
Mhm. Well, I don't know. Figure it out. Put me in
Figure it out.
something.
And also maybe it's because it quickly turns into, just piling dead bodies in a hole and then they come exploding through your floor.
But I
So,
must rot. I must rot.
but we'll make an exception for Caroline.
I must rot. I have to rot. I must
Put me in the
decompose.
bog.
Put me in a no, then I won't decompose.
Exactly. Bog bodies are insane.
Hmm.
Wild.
Crazy.
Anyone who's listening who's never heard of a bog body, you should Google it right now.
Look it up.
It's nuts. Anyway, well, fun. I love ending a conversation talking about death.
Just dreaming about it.
Just, I yearn for it. I yearn for the urn.
I yearn for the urn.
Or if I can put it in my will to be put in a catacomb and made into some sort of like beautiful
cool.
display, that would be cool too. I'd be fine with that. Anyways.
I'm tired.
Well, you should go and enjoy the snow / rain.
It's not even snowing. Hopefully in the morning.
Yeah. When I wake up in the morning, I'm expecting a text from you that's either very enthusiastic or very, very upset.
Or I'm suing the United States of America.
Exactly.
That's my new thing, is just I'm suing the US.
You know, crazier things have happened. So
crazier things have happened.
Might as well.
Anyway, that's the catacombs.
The catacombs.
Thanks for listening. I love you.
Harry. Love you.
Bye-bye. Thank you so much for listening to today's episode. If you like what you heard, don't forget to show us some love and like, rate, and subscribe to our podcast on whichever platform you choose.
You can also find us on Instagram at livelaughLore_pod, on TikTok at Live Laugh Lore Podcast, and on our YouTube channel, Live Laugh Lore.
And if you have any questions, comments, or just want to say hi, feel free to email us at podcast.livelaughlore@gmail.com. We love hearing from our listeners.
Thanks for tuning in, and we'll catch you in the next episode.